welcome to another edition of Making a Difference, a program brought to you by the Turks and Caicos AIDS Awareness Foundation. I'm your host, Yasmin Rigby Blues. This time, we're down at the Youth Center where a group of students, of course, young people get together, the Rapport group, and they're in a rap session. For this episode, we thought we'd capture what it is that they do during their rap session. Come on with me.
Good afternoon. My name is Frances Rigby, and welcome to Live and Direct. This is a youth-based forum, and right now we have the Rapport members here to answer a few questions in regards to peer pressure and self-esteem in the lives of young adults. Hi, guys. How are you guys this evening? All right. The first question I have to throw out there is, what is peer pressure? Anybody wants to answer that for me?
Well, peer pressure is basically the way that persons put their beliefs onto other persons by way of saying that, okay, you're not good enough to do this, or they're pressuring them into doing something that they may not be aware of or experience. They just want to go along with the crowd. So peer pressure, in a way, is something that you don't want to do, but your friends are doing it, and you think it's, it's all that or whatever. You want to do it.
Okay, with saying that, would you think that peer pressure is a major, setback within the school system?
I wouldn't say setback. There's good peer pressure and there's bad peer pressure. It all depends on how the kids in the school deal with it. It can be a setback if the entire school is succumbing to bad peer pressure.
Okay, Chandra, I've got a question for you. Have you ever known anyone who's been a victim of peer pressure?
Well, I guess everybody has been a victim of peer pressure at one point in time. If it's something as small as, doing something that's against the rules. But I've heard people who said that they've been pressured into smoking by their friends or their brothers even, smoking all kind of things.
All right, I'm going to ask you another question. Have you ever been a victim of peer pressure, and would you like to elaborate a little bit on what the situation was?
I recall being pressured into doing things in a game of truth or dare that I didn't particularly want to do, but I did it because I was being dared to, and if I didn't do it, then, I would have been looked upon as the one sticking out of the game. I don't know if anybody else has their own little truth or dare or some type of peer pressure thing that they can talk about.
Anyone else? Well, I do have an instance of that. I wanted to be in with the in crowd, but that's what they call it, the in crowd, and for some reason, I thought the whole going out and alcohol thing was the in thing to do. So as soon as I saw my friends doing it, I was like, okay, I don't want them to think that I'm not cool enough or I'm not willing enough to do it. So, okay, if they drink alcohol, then I guess I'll have to drink my bottle too. So, I guess we all have our different issues when it comes to peer pressure. It all depends on how we deal with it and the outcome of it. Another question I have, let me ask Manushka this one. Manushka, do you think teachers within the school system, do they help contribute to kids being susceptible to peer pressure?
Well, I've never really, going to school, peer pressure was not something that really, I didn't have any friends that much to pressure me into doing things. My mom always telling me, I always have a chance to talk to my mother about certain things that's going on at school when I go home. So when it comes to peer pressure, it's not something that I was exposed to. And I think teachers help the students by when it's come to peer pressure with their other friends and their teenager accompany with them. I have a sister who's in fourth form, And there's certain things that are happening in school, and she have teachers that she could go and talk to about those things, and they help her to deal with certain things because she's very feisty. If you said something to her, she's going to respond back to you. But there are times the teacher said, Genia, I call her name. Genia, just take a deep breath, don't say anything. And she listened to her teachers. There are times when she would have like, I'm going to fight this girl or something, and the teachers know her ways. They would look at her and say, Genia, keep it cool. And the teachers help. I could say that the teachers help at times. If they know the situation that the student is in, they have a teacher to talk to, somebody, their counselors, they could talk to and they would help them to deal with certain situations unless they talk to the teachers about it. If they don't, there's no way of them getting help to certain peer pressure, let's just say the negative part of peer pressure, not just positive ones.
Just to add to what Manishka was saying, the question directed to in school, but teachers are not always there in the school at all the time. They're not there to they're not there following the students around, looking to see if they're dropping a piece of paper or something like that.
But like I said, if the students speak with, if they have an issue, they could go to the teachers or counselors to get help if they know, okay, this is what my friend is about to do or telling me to do. It's the wrong way of doing things. I have somebody I could do to talk to help me in that situation to make the right decision concerning that pressure that my friend is putting on me or,
But at the same time, you said they can go to them, right?
yeah.
Sometimes kids don't want to go to the teacher.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay. Similar question, but in regards to parents within the household, do you think it's the same thing as with the students, or would they find it more easier to talk to their parents about problems they're having within school, the school system with other kids? They're being bullied, or are they being forced to do things that they don't want to do?
Well, sometimes that kids don't want to go to their parents, they don't want to go to their teachers, so they think that finding out things that being pressured by friends, they will go to their friends and be asking them what they should do instead of going to their parents, because some children do not want to go to their parents because they thinking that their parents will rile them or just add more things onto the topic that they are talking about. So children, teens, I should say, do not go to their parents for support or guidance because teens nowadays won't go to their friends for advice, not to go to no church members or no parents or no teachers. They won't go to their friends. Friends give bad advice at times. So why not go to their parents or teachers or whatever? So that's what I think.
It's also it depends on the type of relationship the teens have with their parents, because some of the parents would sit down with their teens and talk about certain things, and they'll be like, "Was that mommy? Was that somebody else?" Because and there are other teens, their parents would, as soon as they say something, let's just say sex, they would be like, who told you about this? Who said this? And they'll be like, okay, there's certain things I would not talk to my mommy about. I could go to Francis or Hezron and talk to Hezron. I would not go to my parents. But there are certain parents that would talk to their teens about things that they would feel comfortable to tell mommy, this is what's going on, help me with this. So sometimes, even though they know that the advice that mother's going to give them will be like, at least I went to my mother and talked to her about this, and that's not what I wanted to hear. But I could go to my mom or my dad or my older sister and talk to her about this situation.
Okay, so all right. Say if it's a situation where the young person, the young adult, can't talk to their parents or their teachers or even some of their friends about peer pressure. What's the best way you think they can deal with it?
I would simply advise a person to go to someone that they look up to, like a mentor or maybe even Rapport for one. Or you can go to someone in your church, just someone that you look up to or someone that you know would keep your information confidential if you don't want your information to be out there. And that's about it.
In my case, I could say growing up in church, always going to church, And they said a certain situation you could talk to your mother about, you can't talk to your daddy about, but you could always go to God in your prayer closet and pray. And I found it really helpful to me when I had something is going on. I could go and pray, and it made me feel a whole lot better. Know I could talk to somebody that my mother or my pastor tell me about, or youth minister tell me that I could go and talk to God, and knowing that, having faith in God that it will come, I would find release in what I have to say, and it helped me to deal with my issues.
I think also another good thing, if they can't go to Rapport or, someone they look up to or go to God, to write it down. Write down your feelings. It helps you to at least get it out there. And then once you read it over or you sit there and you think about it more, it'll help you to make your own decision on your own and strengthen you inside, without other people's influence. Because we all internally know what's the right thing to do.
And there was a time when reading is important, mostly on getting positive books. Like I used to read a lot of positive books, like Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and all those kind of books really are that out there that could help you to deal with certain situation. You could think about yourself, and you could, as you read, you could picture yourself being that person, putting positive things into your life would help you to deal with with peer pressures and stuff.
And just to add to that, not only reading positive books, but there are kids who don't like reading on the whole. So what we can recommend to kids who don't like reading is doing sports, doing physical activities, because in doing sports and those kind of physical activities at the same time, you're not exercising your body, but you could also strengthen your self-esteem because you may not be good at reading or book smart, but you could be good at some sport.
All right. Well, that's a whole lot of good ideas when it comes to peer pressure. I'm actually going to shift into the self-esteem issue, but it actually goes hand in hand with peer pressure. How do you think a person's self-esteem is affected by peer pressure?
Um, a person's self-esteem is affected by peer pressure. Usually what happens is the person sees these other group of persons or a friend even that they might look up to and they might think, okay, this person's cool. And in their own eyes, they're looking at themselves and they think, I'm not like this person, but I want to be like this person. So this other person, they might be someone who's in a gang or something. They may come up to that individual and ask them if they want to be in this group. It could be a negative gang or a positive gang, but they already look up to that person. So in a way, they want to be like this person. So they try to be like this person with their low self-esteem. They don't have that esteem to say, no, I don't want to be in this group because, I have these beliefs and I want to work towards these certain goals that I have in life.
Okay, has anyone ever had a problem with self-esteem? I know I personally, at one point in my life, I did have a problem. I had a self-esteem problem. I thought I wasn't as good looking or as smart as everyone else. I always used to be into my school books, A's and B's, 80s, 70s, and it was like, for some reason, I just thought that, with me being as smart as I wouldn't be accepted by everyone else. So I stopped doing homework like that. I just answered like when I was doing exams. I just put out some really stupid questions, just because I didn't want to be the smart person in the class. Because I wanted friends, within my class. It was, high school was a very hard thing for me to go through. So it was like, okay, maybe I didn't, even though I didn't look as good as everyone. Hopefully, I can be able to, I guess, vibe or connect with people on another level. If it required me to be as, I guess, this might be a bad word, as dumb as everybody else, then, so be it. As long as I had my friends at the end of the day, then, you know. Anyone else?
I'll be the brave one. My self-esteem problem, one of them is my weight. like most girls. We all want that Beyonce figure. And, not Beyonce back then, Beyonce now when she's slim and still, curvy. So, all my life I've had up and down issues with it because, okay, my family's this way, so I don't want to get that way. So during school, I used to exercise a lot and do things. Now I'm out of school and not exercising a lot and feeling all kind of, bad about that. So that's one of my big ones. I know everyone in here has it. I know everyone out there has it. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's just something that you have to work within yourself to overcome.
For myself, I wouldn't know if I should call it a self-esteem thing, but in school I was pretty quiet. I'm still kind of quiet now, but it just takes time with persons. When they have lower self-esteem, they need to find out what they're good at. Because most of the time when you have low self-esteem, you think you're not good for anyone or you're not good at something. And my thing was writing and drawing and painting, and I was good at that, so I kept at that. So people would, compliment me, oh, you can draw, so use something that you're good at to build your self-esteem.
Alrighty. Okay, here's another question. Let me go into within the household. Do you think parents help to build their sons or daughters' self-esteem, or do they just help in a destructive manner, or is it like a 50-50 ground when it comes to it? Because I personally know of someone, their mom is like, she's always criticizing her son's looks, her son's attitude, and her son is a very